white boy
from the suburbs. You know?
It's like the Eminem song.
Yeah, well, yeah. See, you made an Eminem reference
on his
right now.
best album.
You just made an Eminem reference.
Revival.
Furthering my point, dude.
Dude, not only white people like Eminem.
Well, he's got a majority audience, though.
Yeah, but a lot of black rappers have white audiences.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Because white people have money, so they're the ones buying your music. That's the thing. I'm just saying,
it's a great stereotype that, like, you know, you like Eminem.
That's
I like
true.
Eminem. You know, it just fits the mold is all I'm saying.
That's true.
He is a world-renowned rapper.
But I will have you know that I have a friend who is not white who also likes Eminem.
Well, so that's good.
Basically,
I'm being too controversial.
This whole podcast should freeze. The screen around you should turn black and white, and you should hear Captain Price in your head. Mission failed. Better luck next time.
I'm fitting the meme right now, and I shouldn't be.
You are. Let's get right into the podcast.
Why is there a random accent in there?
Don't sue me, Keemstar, please. It's flattery. All right. Do you have your docket up? Because it's important.
Nope.
We're looking at movie news first, and this is like one of the best things ever. You showed me this. Moviepass changes users' passwords so that they can't use it.
Genius.
What is the deal with this? Moviepass has been failing for a long time, and by that I mean people use Moviepass, but it hemorrhages money so much, like it's gonna die.
It will, yeah, absolutely.
It's died such a drawn-out death, though.
Because it would have been, like, honestly, Moviepass, when it first came out, was an idea that was potentially going to mess up the movie industry big time.
And it did for a little bit.
Yes.
Until AMC came along.
And they shut that right down. So now it's like, basically what happened is they started changing their heavier... not heavier users. They targeted their
they fat shamed users. Yeah. Let's change the style of Moviepass. Fat shames users.
Disgusting.
We can tell from your phone you are over 90 pounds, so you are getting cut off. It's just the leader of Moviepass is just like starving himself, so he takes that out on other people. He's like, I can't eat, you can't eat. You enjoy not going to movies,
and you will suffer. Yeah, so, but no, it was heavier usage users, and I'm also hitting puberty, so it was heavier usage users that are, got their passwords changed.
So they're going to movies, like, a lot.
So they're using the whole, going to a movie once a day, basically, or, like, they're going to,
who has that kind of time?
15 movies a month or something, Like, they're going frequently to movies and really saving a lot of money by doing so.
Yeah.
So, Moviepass, decided to get in that, and
how do they justify this? I don't get how they justify doing this, because like obviously they're a weird company. I also can't believe that they have a CEO.
Well, it says here that that Moviepass is clinging to life.
Yep.
And that essentially what happened was a compliance council at the U.S. Department of Justice told Business Insider that Moviepass's behavior is certainly unethical and could be illegal. So it seems as if the company's days are numbered. So, they're not doing well.
It's not accepting new subscribers anymore?
Oh, gosh. I don't know, man.
And that this is all from a GameSpot article, like the main source of this news, but the GameSpot article is compiling it from different articles as well.
Right.
So we're dipping our toes in multiple streams here.
Indeed, so credible.
Taking a few streams and crossing them like the good old Ghostbusters and nice best friends at the urinal.
That's how you do it, dude.
So, yeah, it's not accepting new subscribers. The company's website states that it has been working to improve groundbreaking subscription service. But they moved into movie production too, I guess. They signed a 3-movie deal with Bruce Willis at the end of 2018.
What?
I don't know. I like Bruce Willis, but that's a weird choice.
That's really weird.
Also, Bruce Willis is one of these guys who goes kind of up and down in terms of, like, you can tell when he really cares about a movie he's in and when he doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an odd pick.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird poster boy for your business, but whatever.
Yeah, but I do like Bruce Willis.
Yeah, he's made some good stuff.
It's just odd. Go watch Unbreakable. Still, in my opinion, I know it's a hot take, I think it's one of the best superhero movies ever made.
That is a hot take. There's no doubt.
I think it is the best, tied with Batman Begins for a superhero origin movie. Maybe Iron Man 1 would be
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a very controversial take because there are a lot of really good origin stories out there.
There are.
Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, but that's not really that much of an origin story. It's like the first 20 minutes. Like, the thing with this is it takes what would be the first 20 minutes of Spider-Man and makes it a whole movie.
I suppose.
Like, it doesn't just jump ahead into like, okay, well, he's established, now he's going.
What about Shia LaBeouf in Transformers? That's an origin story.
Not a superhero story.
Very good. Shia LaBeouf's not a superhero.
Not even really an origin.
Oh, okay.
More like an orgy story, dude. Like an orgy of explosions.
I'd watch that again.
I don't know. So my point, Bruce Willis has been in some good stuff. Weird decision here. Moviepass has just made some odd decisions. It's like pulled things from its service like early, like on purpose. It's... I remember they've been pretty defensive about some of these like positions they've taken on like social media as well. Just a weird, bizarre company.
Just didn't really work out, and it is what it is.
I'm glad they exist because they kind of got. You look all around like what? Well, no, they got like AMC and these other things to create subscription models.
That's true. That's a great point.
They took the hit. Because they were never successful.
No, they came and went, essentially. Yeah.
They took the hit so that something else better could come along. My question is, with all of these stupid Moviepass decisions, will Moviepass eventually... I mean, Moviepass will die.
Yes.
But will subscription services to movies die? Like, do you think that they will stop AMC Stubbs A-List? Because that's what I'm a member of. Are you a member of that?
I am not. I should be, though.
Do you know the details of it? Because I believe it's $23.99 a month or $24.99, and sometimes it goes on sale.
Okay.
And you get to go to 3 different, like, it doesn't even have to be different ones. 3 movies a week. You get the tickets included. And you can even see, like, IMAX or, like, 3D or whatever.
And opening shows and stuff?
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great deal.
You can go in, unless that ever changes, because like I haven't gone to opening shows on it, but like when I've like gone to look it up, like, oh, could I? Like it says I can online.
Okay.
So my understanding is you can go to these like opening shows and different stuff. The difference is though, it's like if a ticket is already sold, you can't go reserve a seat. So you know how everything's moved towards seats are reserved now?
Yes.
So you can go buy a ticket to a movie, right? And if, let's say, 100 people buy tickets to a 100-person auditorium for an opening day, which usually will happen for like a bigger movie, they will be sold out. It doesn't matter that I have AMC Stubbs A-List because I will go to reserve that, a day or 2 or 3 before when those times are posted, and I can't because it's sold out. So it kind of gets those paying people who like... Because people will buy like Avengers Endgame tickets 2 months in advance.
Yes, they will. Yeah.
So those things are usually sold out already is the thing. But I don't really think that's a big deal. Like I'm okay with seeing it 12 hours later with my included ticket.
Right.
I just wonder if that is too good of a deal for the consumer, for the movie industry to just like let stand.
Maybe, but it's also, I think, good because it's bringing people back into the theater that maybe thought it was too expensive in the first place. Because AMC, not really even ragging on, but they're definitely one of the higher-end theaters as far as price, and just they're a great product as well, but they're also a little bit more expensive.
Yeah,
so
but
bringing that price into more of a reasonable realm is kind of a good thing, But
they're not even the best always. Like, so... the one in the city where I live, like down by the shopping center and stuff?
Yes.
That one's a pretty bad AMC. Like in terms of like the seats are not reclining. They're all like really small. They're like the size of my office chair. Like all the seats. And it's the same price as going to the other like premium one that's like 20 minutes away from us. So at first it was just that the premium AMCs that were better were more money. And now at least for me it seems like they've all gone up. Like whether they've seen improvements or not. And I worked at AMC. Remember that?
I do, yeah.
I worked there for, I don't know, a month and a half. It was not a long time. I hated the job. I actually like their theaters, but I don't like the way they do things. And they told me at the one I worked at, do I have to say allegedly? They told me this. Like, I'm not making it up.
No, yeah, I would just...
A manager at the AMC where I worked had told me, like, we know that we're ripping people off on concessions. Now, I don't know if that's, like, the actual prevailing attitude of the company. I would say it's that individual worker. But I would say that at least people who work at AMC know that some things are more money than they probably should be. Or at least that's the feeling of the employees. Maybe the CEO and the actual business don't feel that way. But that's at least how some of the employees felt. So if like even the employees can see that, and this was before the price hike, by the way. This was like before we installed the nice chairs.
Oh.
They were already saying that. Like, yeah, concessions are a bit of a ripoff. We know that. They told us that in training. So I don't know, man. Like, and maybe that was just that one location. Maybe they would never say that.
That could be,
else.
yeah, I'm sure.
Because I don't want to, crap all over the whole company.
Right.
But it's just weird. And I feel like they want money. They're a business. And if you as a business can make more money, why wouldn't you? So, like, if they can make more money by not offering AMC A-List once Moviepass is gone, why wouldn't they just not do it? Or they don't accept new people into it. Like, maybe you have an account and you are forever. Like, maybe I keep my account.
But then they cut it off.
Yeah, like, new people can't join AMC A-List.
Okay.
Like, it was here for this 5 years, and if you got in on it, you can keep renewing it, but otherwise you can't. Because, like, Best Buy kind of did that with the Gamer Club, except...
That's right.
Except you can't even renew it now, from what I understand. It's like however long you have is what you have.
Oh.
If you bought 10 years of it while it was active, you have 10 years, but you can't buy an 11th.
Okay.
Like, businesses, there is a precedent of them doing this. So I just wonder if something like that will happen. And that's all speculation.
Right.
I have no idea. I just know that as a business, you don't have an incentive to give a good deal if there's no competition to that deal.
It's a great point, yeah.
That's the whole point of capitalism. Like, if the guy down the street is selling his car for $1,000, you're not going to sell yours for $2,000 if it's the same model. But if the guy down the street doesn't have a car to sell, well, all of a sudden you're the only car in the neighborhood. You can sell it for whatever you want. That's capitalism.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, you're right, yeah.
I'm going to avoid the cliche of it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Yes.
Since I always say that. But
Moviepass is essentially dead. That's
it is.
Moral of the story.
And I just wonder if it'll kill these other subscriptions or not in the
hopefully
future.
Not. Yeah.
I hope not, too. Because I think that in a world where you can get Netflix for, even though it's gone up, like $12 a month?
I think
in
so.
1080p?
That's what it's up to, yeah.
And you can pay more for 4K now.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, there's certain things in 4K on Netflix, and if you have a 4K subscription, you can watch those in 4K.
Wow, okay.
But in a world where you can pay like $12 for Netflix a month and you get all these different things, it's hard to justify if you were going to 3 movies a week and not even buying concessions. That would be like 35 times 4. It'd be like $140 a month.
It's a lot of money.
Versus 25.
It's a huge difference. Yeah. Huge difference.
I don't know. Real compelling stuff. Good old Moviepass.
That's right. Moving on to our next story. We're looking at the new Star Wars Blu Rays that are coming out. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Not really a huge story, but it just came out, I think, either today or yesterday, that they're launching out some new versions of the Star Wars Blu Ray movies.
I was struggling to pull it up. Were you seeing that and saving me?
I did a little bit, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So there's for every single movie they've got a new cover. I honestly think they look really cool. I was hoping it'd be more of like a steelbook look, and then more of like a cool, huge box set maybe.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're gonna do 4K. I think the following year in 2020. So this is just the basic Blu-rays. If I'm honestly going to wait for 4K. I already have all of the Blu-rays. So for me, this isn't really like a must-buy. I feel like most people that are Star Wars fans are going to have the 4Ks by now anyways. So unless they have like a really cool 4K Steelbook box set next year or something, then it's really not a huge thing for me, but it's cool.
Yeah, I say we run through them real quick because I also want to be able to split this off from the main podcast so that people can see, the new
for sure
ones coming out. We just run through them real quick, just maybe a minute a piece.
Yeah.
The episode 1 is fine. They have this weird, all of them have this weird floating head look, but this one is the worst in that term.
Yeah.
Like it has Liam
Which
Neeson's...
keeps up with the theme of the entire series, that episode 1 is the worst,
Yeah, it has a really disjointed looking cover. Darth Maul, one of the most underrated Star Wars villains in all of existence, because you need to watch the Clone Wars. He gets so good. He's a recurring villain in the Clone Wars, and he's amazing in it. And he's a recurring villain a couple times in Star Wars Rebels, and he is fantastic.
I'll have to check that out, yeah.
But he is the biggest waste of time in the movies. They do nothing with him.
That sucks, yeah.
He is looming in the background with Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan right in front of him. You don't even see the handle of Obi-Wan's lightsaber. You just see, like, the blade, and that's it. And it whites out almost half of his face. Like the glow from it, like, almost covers part of his face.
A little bit.
In a weird way, like the coloring. You have Liam Neeson's massive head side profile there. Queen Amidala, Padme is right there in the middle. I don't know why she's not the center of the movie at all.
I don't feel like she's like a centerpiece.
And then you have Anakin down in the front with his visor down and some pod racers coming outside of the border of this thing in the background. It's all like a silvery blue. It just looks okay. That's kind of how I feel about a lot of these, is they look okay. The Attack of the Clones one, again, it's got Jango Fett in the background there, a Republic gunship flying. The best Padme Amidala outfit ever, in center stage in the front.
Very cool.
There was the torn Padme outfit. When the I don't even remember the thing's name. That gladiator creature like slashes her back and it becomes like a tube top.
Yes.
Speaking of Hayden, he's in right behind her with like the "you just took the last slice of pie" look on his face.
He is so upset, man.
Well, it's very clearly from like the Tusken Raider scene. When he goes after the Tusken camp.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
But he has like, his lightsaber looks red, which it's not red in this movie at all, which is silly looking. Qui-Gon's just kind of hanging out. You can barely see Yoda in the background, along with Mace Windu. And then the clones. I mean, like, it's an improvement on the Phantom Menace one, I guess, but it's still okay.
By the way, is that Obi-Wan on the side? You said it was Qui-Gon. Is that Obi-Wan?
Oh, yeah, it's Obi-Wan.
Oh, okay.
Did I say Qui-Gon? I was still thinking about Qui-Gon.
No, I know. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to clarify.
No, Obi-Wan is still hanging out. And then the third one's the best out of the three, but it's not amazing. It's good. I think like having that Battle of the Heroes in the front, against Anakin and Obi-Wan was a good choice. This is actually almost the original cover, though.
Yeah.
It
doesn't seem like a lot has changed with that.
No, you got the Vader helmet in the background, Obi-Wan's head, Padme's head, Anakin's head. For some reason, C-3PO's in the background here, and the only really cool thing I've never seen on a cover of 3, unless I'm just hallucinating, is the Death Star being built.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's cool that's in there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's fine. I think the original trilogy is where it starts to look a little better, actually.
It looks really crisp there. Yeah, the image just looks good.
Because you have, Luke Skywalker, Leia in this next one for A New Hope. You have the old Alec Guinness Obi-Wan in the background. For some reason, Han is tiny in this image, and so is Chewie, even though they are, I would say, as iconic as Luke Skywalker to the Star Wars franchise. There's just some weird choices. I don't personally love covers like this where certain characters are a lot bigger than others. Like, the scaling is weird,
especially if it doesn't align with the story as much, But,
no.
I mean, this one I'm fine with.
It's okay.
But, yeah, I think it looks really clean. I like the purple color there, too. I think it's a really cool-looking cover, but...
They have a random Y-Wing in the background, even though Y-Wings didn't really do much in that movie. They were just kind of at the final battle.
Right.
They all got destroyed. Then moving into 5... This one's, I don't know if it's better or worse than the 4 one.
That one's kind of messy, looking at it from a distance. For me.
There's tons of clutter.
There's just so much going on there,
Well, and do you see this in the very background by the Vader helmet is like Vader fighting Luke, and it's just tiny.
I know. I feel like that should have been like the main thing, and then have some other stuff in the background. If they would have done something where they have that in the center, kind of like what they did with 3, and then have other stuff in the background. But they have so much going on in that. It's a lot to look at,
Oh, it's a ton. And then for 6, I think this is the best looking out of the ones we've looked at so far.
I would agree. Yeah.
Because it's more clean. It's just the Death Star in the background along with a B-Wing, the Falcon, which is really just used by Lando mostly in this movie.
Yeah.
Right in front of Luke, to his left, I guess it's behind him, to his left is Vader again. He has to be on every single cover, I guess. With Yoda looking up at Luke's crotch, like thinking like, wow, that is a snack, dude.
I love that, dude.
Then you have Leia next to and in front of Luke, with Jabba blending kind of into the background of the Death Star.
Which is weird. He shouldn't blend in.
No, this is the problem with these, though, is they look very cluttered.
They do. There's just
all
a
of them.
lot going on. Yeah, I wish they'd tighten it up a bit, but...
7 might be the least cluttered. Because
there's still a lot going on, though.
It is, yeah. But, like, the 3 main characters are at the forefront. Then in the background, there's a couple ships, the villain, Han, Leia, Luke. Yeah. Randomly Phasma.
Yeah, Phasma's in there too. Yeah, I would say that one's... Well, I was going to say that one's probably my favorite so far, but then what's... Okay. I have such not great feelings about
the Last
the
Jedi.
8th one. Yeah, it's
that the cover wouldn't do it for you anyway.
No, it wouldn't.
But this cover isn't strong either. A lot of these covers are just tons of characters thrown onto the cover.
Yes.
It's like you took a shotgun and just blasted Star Wars characters onto the cover.
And now they all fit, and it's great.
Yeah, but they don't even all fit. They're all weird scales, and even the ones down here are weird scalings that aren't the same. Like Rose is in the background and small, but Finn's head is massive. Finn's head is bigger than Rose's whole body.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that looks silly next to each other. That's The Last Jedi. I know we're kind of going through these faster now, but it just gets hard to talk about them.
Right.
This is basically just the Rogue One cover.
It doesn't look any different than how I remember it.
I'm sure it is a little, but it's more like the coloring is different.
Yeah.
It always kind of looked this way with the Death Star and Jyn Erso.
Right.
K2SO. I think this stuff is new with like the walkers in the front. But otherwise, these just aren't memorable.
No.
That's my problem. And they're each a different color, but I don't think any of those colors mean anything. I think they're just chosen at random.
I agree.
This is the only color that applies, because Solo was always marketed with this yellowy, orangey color.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So I get that one. And actually, this cover looks okay.
I think that one looks really good, actually. I like how that one... There's not so much going on. They've got, like, the main people that you see. And I think they did a really good job with that one, actually.
Yeah, because that one is just...
I hadn't seen that one yet. That one's probably my favorite of the whole bunch, to be honest.
That one's just the Ehrenreich... I think that's his name, right? Alden Ehrenreich?
I don't know.
That Han Solo. And Chewie next to him. Kira underneath him. A couple of the pirates. You've got Lando there. It's pretty clean.
Yes.
And it matches the actual film's coloring. So I think that looks good. I'm surprised.
Works well, yeah.
And that's really all there is. It's a weird time to buy these movies again, because even this article stated that, like you said, they're very likely coming to 4K in 2020.
Yeah, so I mean, just for me, and I think we are on the same page.
I agree with you.
It's 4K at this point. Blue. If it's something that you really like, and it's something that like a Star Wars or like just something that you're really passionate about, 4K is how you're gonna get your movie moving forward. It sucks that it's so expensive, but like for something like that, I hope it's like a Blu Ray collection that you can get. Where it's or a Steelbook 4K collection. Because otherwise, it's not really worth getting all of those new covers just because they're new covers. It doesn't make sense to me to go out and spend $20 a movie for 9 different movies or 10 different movies and spend all that money for no reason for cover art when the cover art that I've got already is already pretty cool. I have the movies already. It's not really an upgrade in any way. It's just art.
No, it's just 1080p Blu-ray still.
Yeah, and the art doesn't blow me away. So it's not really on my radar, to be honest, and I'll be looking for the 4K is where I'm at. So
me too. I would definitely love to collect steelbooks of them if they put any effort into them.
Yes. Yeah.
The past few steelbooks, so it's weird. The Star Wars story steelbooks, which I'm going to show here, they look really good. So you've seen the Solo steelbook.
Yes. Yeah.
That looks fantastic.
Yeah.
The Millennium Falcon on the front or on the back, I believe, is not the best thing ever. I need to see if that's on the front or back. But that side is not the best thing ever. But the other side where it's drawn and it's all those characters and it looks painted, that looks incredible.
Absolutely.
And then the Rogue One steelbook is amazing. It's got the stormtroopers and the Death Troopers marching through the water. And it's all drawn and painted. And it just looks fantastic. Those two... they look so good compared to the other ones. Then like you get to, oh, so it is the front that's the Millennium Falcon. I still like that because like the back is even better than that. But with the Force Awakens one, it's really just Kylo Ren's helmet. That's it. It's part of his face. It's not even the whole helmet.
Yeah, it takes up the whole thing.
And then for The Last Jedi, it just looks slightly different, like than the mainly cover. So it's they're both okay. It seems like Disney doesn't put overwhelming effort into steelbooks though. And I get why. Like you're Disney, your stuff will sell. But like I'm thinking greedy corporate businessman here, okay? And I'm not saying Disney is specifically that, but you're a business. You want to make money. So I work for your business. Every 5 years, dude, or less, actually probably every 2 or 3 years, I'd be pushing to re-release these things with some new cover that looks amazing. I'd be like, you know what? Get this guy in here, pay him $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever to design this steelbook, or however long it takes him, whatever money. Buy that art from him, slap it on there, dude. Like, make it look really cool and collectible. If we didn't sell this version before, someone will buy it, and someone else who's crazy for it will buy it again. Like, look at The Little Mermaid, like the effort that went into that steelbook, where it's all drawn.
Or even the Lion King steelbook. I really like that one, where it was just a lot of really small details, from the movie and stuff. Yeah. And the thing is, like, with Disney, you've got Marvel, you've got Star Wars, like...
Oh, and the Marvel ones are so bad.
They're so boring. And you could have, like, all of the moments that happened of just crazy fight scenes, crazy emotional moments, like, all of the things that happen in the tens of hours of content, you couldn't pluck something and make it really custom with, like, some really cool flair and slap it on a steelbook and make it really cool. You'd make a ton of money off of it, like
you came to me, right... And I'm not saying I could make the steelbook, but if you came to me and you said you have 30 seconds for every Marvel movie to come up with one scene that you'd want hand painted on this steelbook, I could come up with it in 10. Like, immediately. Like, I'm just thinking even right now, Civil War, you could easily, like, have Iron Man on one side, Cap on the other side, and it's the scene, like, near the end of the movie where they actually fight, which is shown in the trailer. It's not a spoiler. And the lasers are coming off the shield. You could paint that and have it hand-drawn where when you open it, like, one of them is on each side. And they're hitting in the middle on the binding.
Yeah, I was thinking...
You could do that easily.
I was thinking Iron Man 3, you could do where his house is getting bombed.
Yeah.
So you could just have, like, him looking and a bunch of missiles are coming at the house or something.
Like... You could easily do something like that. Or him sitting on the couch next to the Mark 42.
Exactly.
Anything, like, little like that that's cutesy. The highest effort Disney steelbooks I've seen recently were those Toy Story ones.
Those were really cool.
They were, like, drawn and they had, like, this painted style. But then they went and blew it because they announced the Toy Story 4 steelbook, and it's not even in the same style.
At all?
At all. Like, it's just totally different. And it makes no sense at all. Like, it looks like this. It has, like, Woody and then Buzz on the left and Bo Peep on the right. It's just a picture of
it. It doesn't go with the colors or anything like that they had established before. So, yeah,
I even have a picture here of all four of them together. It's nothing like the others.
It doesn't fit at all, yeah.
It just seems like... It seems like Disney, and I don't know if it's... Who is it that does the merchandising of this? Is it a marketing... Would it be the marketing branch of Disney that would
I don't know.
Choose these things?
That's a good question.
Because whoever is choosing them, it doesn't feel like it's putting in tons of effort. And I feel the same way about these Star Wars covers, is that they're just slapped on to release another thing. That's what they look like. I really, really hope it's better than that for the 4K release.
I agree, yeah.
But either way, like, this is the crappy thing. Either way, it's going to be the first 4K release. It's going to sell. Like, I'm probably going to want it.
Yeah, it'll be in 4K. Yeah, you're going to want it. Yeah,
it's
for
hard.
Sure.
It's hard to say you won't.
Yeah.
But it would also be a huge missed opportunity for them to not somehow release a version of the original trilogy that's not super tampered with when they do that.
Right.
You could even do 2 versions of each of those movies and you'd make a ton of money. I don't know. There's a lot of places to go with the money-making aspect of it. It's the hand-in-hand artistic aspect of these steelbooks or of the collecting goes in hand with making more money off it. Mm-hmm. I understand that it's going to sell either way, but why not sell it even more?
Right.
Because you could sell it to steelbook collectors that aren't even necessarily that interested in Disney. They're just steelbook collectors.
And they love this stuff, and they love the idea of collecting something that looks cool like that.
Yeah.
And just something that makes their shelf pop more than it does.
Yep.
So, I mean, really, that should be the whole point, honestly, of a steelbook.
And that's the point of collectibles.
Right.
People buy Funko Pops and statues from movies they haven't even seen yet.
But they look great.
Yeah, so some of those Dragon Ball statues I have up above my shelving are from seasons I haven't even watched.
But they're just cool looking.
They're really cool, and I know that I've watched the first season or two, and I think they're cool.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's pretty easy to get people in if you just invest in it.
Right.
I don't know. So that's kind of my thoughts on these Blu-ray re-releases. They just look like they're kind of thrown out there. The Solo one looks good. If you don't have Solo and this is less money, maybe this is your chance to pick up Solo. But other than that...
Wait till 4K.
Yeah, unless you're... This would be the nichest fan ever. But unless you are, I guess... a family member of someone who just loves the original Star Wars movie and didn't care about any others, because those people do exist. Like, you know, older people who just saw 4. I guess pick up 4 then. That's it. This is so niche.
It really is, yeah. Yeah, I'd say hold off.
Hold off, yeah. Just wait for 4K. And even if you don't have 4K, I'm sure it'll come with Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
In our next piece of news, this is a weird, totally weird aside, but I guess it is kind of connected to Disney. And it's not. The Venom 2.
Yes.
It's more Sony, but the MCU, Disney, we're playing the 2 degrees away from Kevin Bacon?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's basically, they had announced something else, but I think the main thing right now is just that Andy Serkis is directing the movie, which is different than I think it was Ruben Fleischer.
So is Claw going to be in it?
That would be...
He played Claw, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, in Black Panther and in... Did you know Claw was in Age of Ultron? I didn't remember that.
He was.
I went and rewatched it. And I was like, wait, that's Claw.
Yes, yeah, he's in Age of Ultron.
So he's going to be the director. He's very talented.
He is. Yeah, I'm excited to see how they're going to do it because I know from the first one that Tom Hardy was... I'm not going to say like hard to work with, but there were certain scenes and like dialogue in the first film that he was not happy with and like voiced those opinions. And so
I get that though, because there's certain things that are really weird in that movie.
There definitely is. So to have, I think Andy Serkis has obviously been in some incredible stuff, had some incredible dialogue himself. So it'd be really cool to see Venom fleshed out from what they gave us in kind of the end credit scene there too, with Woody Harrelson, and then just to kind of see how Andy Serkis takes it, if he tries to keep that kind of like darker sense of humor in there, which I hope he does, because there was some really memorable moments in the first one. So
can I ask you a question?
Great.
Venom question.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see him in the MCU ever? This Venom. Because
the Tom Hardy version?
They shot that first movie in a way where it's very obvious that they were leaving it open to be included in the MCU if they wanted to. It's not even in the same city. They did it in a totally different city than New York so they could justify it,
yeah.
I think. And Venom is typically a character that was in New York. So they moved him?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Will he show up? Will Tom Hardy show up?
Yeah.
Like his version? I doubt it.
I would have said yes when this first came out and was so profitable, but there's just been no talk about it, so I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think they've got so many plans and they've got so many things going on, and I think Sony, they made a ton of money off the first one, so I don't see this really going towards the MCU in anytime soon. I hope it does. You know how cool it would be to see him interact with Tom Holland in some way? Like, that'd be amazing. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. So it's a bummer because the Venom Spider-Man dynamic it's great combat. It makes for really good fights, but it's also good like chemistry and just comedy at times as well.
And it's a good origin for a villain because that villain was always tied to Spider-Man.
Right.
And maybe that's why you can't fully do this Venom in the MCU as well, too, because he can't be. Like, the symbiote never went to Peter first. It just went to Eddie.
Yeah.
I'm okay with just Venom being his own thing for now. What I do hope is that eventually, like years from now, that the Tom Holland Spider-Man can have some kind of black suit arc type thing. I want to see that Spider-Man for the next 15 years.
I do too, yeah.
Like from now, not from when Homecoming started, from now.
Right, just to have like a new, he basically he's the new RDJ kind of the MCU. So I think, I'm sure that's what Marvel wants, is for him to kind of just take over that mantle, be the new RDJ. And and then just kind of build around him. They've got like a centerpiece. It's kind of a weird way to look at it, but it's kind of like having your superstar on like a sports team and then building a team around him. You know, and that's kind of what they have with Tom Holland now.
They do.
And that's what they had with RDJ. So it's finding your guy that everyone loves and working around him and making other stuff that works. And I think they do a good job of that.
They would have had an issue though if they had never been able to secure the deal with Sony. Yes. The MCU, I think, would have had an issue right now.
Definitely.
Because we've moved into a portion where several key players have left the MCU. And if you didn't have Spider-Man to pick up that slack, not that the other characters don't matter, but it would just feel like there was more of a hole, I think. So I think that the fact that that deal worked out is really good.
Yes.
That's also why people are nervous about a renegotiation over that deal. I really, though, think, like, Marvel has such, like, FU money that they could just throw money at Sony and be like, hey, look.
Do whatever they want.
Look, like, just let us keep using them.
Right.
Like, there's no reason for them not to. But if Sony thought that they could get away with making more money on Spider-Man on their own, I'm sure they would want to do that. I just don't know if people would really stand for that. Now that they've had him in the MCU, I don't think they could pull him back.
And he's been in like such insane movies already, and like his 2 spin-off movies were great. He's established. He's kind of not the poster boy of Marvel by any means at this point, but he's working his way towards that a little bit. So I mean, it's I don't know. He's going to be Spider-Man in Marvel for a long time, I think.
I think in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, definitely. Not just for Sony.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. With all this MCU news, also comes the whole Dark Phoenix debacle. We mentioned the Dark Phoenix before. You haven't seen it yet.
No.
I have. I told you little things from it that weren't really spoilers, but it's a mess. I enjoyed it still. I think it's better than some of the X-Men movies. Not a lot of them. Like, it's better than X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's better than, like, I don't know, X3. I'm trying to think if it's better than anything else. I don't know if it is.
Ugh.
Like, but those are the worst by far, and it's much, much better than them. Like, it's maybe a notch below the mid-tier films.
Okay.
Because it's just a mess. And I am going into my opinion zone here now.
Okay.
Because this is from a comicbook.com article that showed what the Skrulls would have looked like in the movie originally. And you and I looked at this, and we said that we both thought that these looked much more menacing than the Skrulls in the MCU.
A lot more. I mean, it's like they're genuinely a little horrifying when you look at them. They've got just a freaky look to them.
They almost look like they have like vines almost like over their body. It looks like it's like tendrils, like Venom-ish looking.
Yes, yeah.
In that regard, their heads are flatter on top than like the skulls in the actual Captain Marvel movie or the MCU. They have more of like a hunched over look that's like associated with like villains, like how they look in a lot of things. They look good.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Would you say that, like, I'm not talking just this image. I'm saying, like, if this was high budget, fully fleshed out, don't you think this actually looks a little more interesting than the MCU Skrulls?
I think by a lot, to be honest. Yeah, I think they just look more formidable. You know, they look like they could do some damage. They look like very capable creatures, and they're a little scary, which could be interesting too. You know, it's not as family friendly. They could genuinely be a little horrifying. So there's just a little bit more for me that could be done with those than the ones that we saw in Captain Marvel. And
I would like to read this excerpt from The Cultured Nerd. This is a page on Instagram, but this is where this was originally shared on Instagram. And I think that it kind of sums up some of the feelings I have about my opinion zone of this, because I'm not going to read this whole thing, but he says that the movie was once a completely different movie. It featured the Skrulls, a coherent plot, more action, more spectacle, and an ending that would have left X-Men fans talking. I would also like to say, before, moving on from this, that it was also originally going to be 2 movies. It was going to be a part 1 and part 2. Deathly Hallows, like,
Oof.
Like, it was going to be like that, where it was going to be much more fleshed out.
And they just canceled that.
Yeah, they went for one only. They jammed it all into one.
No wonder, yeah.
And so what Cultured Nerd said in this post is that then Disney came in prior to merger talks, demanded it to be changed, otherwise they would not agree to the terms of the buyout. So rumors and speculation point to different reasons why this happened. Some rumors say that it's to avoid conflicts with Captain Marvel. Some say it was to allow Marvel to reboot the X-Men franchise without fan backlash. But no one knows, I'm summarizing this, no one knows what the actual reasons are. So that's kind of my opinion zone on this one. As someone who loves the MCU, I really like a lot of the stuff Disney points out. I'm also not afraid to say when I don't like something they do. Because that's really what it comes down to. I don't like what they did with this. But at the end of the day, I just don't like the way this was handled. And I don't really buy that it was just Fox blowing it all at the last minute. Really? They blew it after some of their best movies ever, like Days of Future Past, Deadpool 1 and 2, Logan, and now they just totally dropped the ball completely? Like, really? I don't really buy that. Like, that doesn't really seem realistic to me.
Well, like, we were talking too, and it was just, it's obviously just speculation, but it makes sense logically that Disney would not want Fox to go out on a very high note, you know? Like, with them kind of losing the rights to the characters or giving them up or getting bought out or whatever it was. They wouldn't really want Fox to come out with basically a product that was as good as like a Logan or a Deadpool. Because if Marvel then says, you know, maybe doesn't hit the mark or doesn't really connect with the audience like Fox did regarding these characters, well then, I don't know, like, it just doesn't look as good for Disney. Then if Fox goes out on like a whimper, it's like, oh, Disney, come in and save these characters, make them great again, I guess. But you know,
are they building a wall around the X-Men or something?
No, dude.
Yeah, I think that if you are a fan who doesn't like the Fox Men or the Fox X-Men universe because of the style, I sort of get that, because it's gone back and forth over the years. Like, Ultimate's totally different, but in the comics, like, especially in the 80s, like, the X-Men were a little more uplifting than they are in the movies. Like, it's a very depressing universe. I get if you're not a fan of that style. That's a subjective thing. You don't like that, that's fine. Objectively, I don't think you can really objectively argue Logan's a bad movie. Or Deadpool 1 or 2, or even Days of Future Past. I don't think you can objectively argue that those movies are not good films.
They're great. Yeah. I
They're
enjoyed all of them.
Good, well-made films. Like, with a good story, good character arc. Especially Days of Future Past and Logan, able to build on that history of the franchise. But you don't even need it. Like, you could technically jump in at, like, Days of Future Past and still recognize it's a good movie objectively. The script is solid. The acting is very good. Hugh Jackman totally steals the show again for, like, the 5,000th time in a good way. You know, everything looks good. Even the effects are good. Like, there's nothing really bad about the last few X-Men movies before this. I mean, I guess Apocalypse, like, is a hit or miss for some people. I think it's really fun. I don't think it's the strongest, but I think it's really fun.
It's not a bad movie.
No.
You know? It's just an average movie, good movie.
But those movies were good movies objectively.
Right.
And if you didn't like it, that's fine. That doesn't mean it's a bad movie. Objectively, it's well written. And so it makes sense that they wouldn't necessarily want this to be the best objectively written, the best X-Men movie going out, because it might, you know, overshadow their efforts. Or what if the Skrulls were way better in it than they were in Captain Marvel? Because the Skrulls in Captain Marvel were kind of a letdown. They were just kind of there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm bummed seeing this. I think it's just a sad move, because I really thought watching that movie it could have been fantastic, and it was just okay. And that sucks.
It does. Yeah, that's a sad way for it to go out. When they made a lot of really good content. So it sucks. It does suck.
And there was a lot of different things that happened throughout the X-Men movies existing from Disney and the Marvel Cinematic Universe that were a little weird to me. Like the fact that they never sold toys based off of it. Like, they sold some for the first movie. And maybe X2. And then they just stopped. And there was kind of this period in the MCU where the MCU got super big and they just started, like, acting like douchebags kind of about some stuff. Like, I remember when the Fantastic Four movie was coming out that was really bad, they canceled the Fantastic Four comics.
Oh.
Because they didn't want it associated with them.
Oh my god.
It's just petty stuff like that. Like, we can't have all the money, so you can't have any of it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, it feels petty and gross and weird. And they get away with a lot of stuff because they make some really good things. And I'm not going to deny they do. It's just, it's weird behavior.
It is. Well, and even moving into our next story a little bit too, with Disney, I wanted to talk a little bit about all of the remakes that they're making, because it kind of stems from first is that they've announced that they're remaking Home Alone, which is why, you know? Like they've got...
Isn't there 4 of those, or is there a 5th?
Yeah,
I don't know. It doesn't even matter.
We don't talk about those. First of all, we don't talk about them. Second of all, they
1, 2, and 3 are all actually good. 3 was with a different kid. But,
it was? Okay.
2 is not as good as 1, and then 3 is kind of back up, and then 4 is super weird and bad.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any past there, but yeah, this is not something that needs to exist at all.
It doesn't, you know? And it was kind of funny. Macaulay Culkin posted a picture of himself, and it was like him in like a wife beater, like eating Doritos or something with his gut hanging out. He's like, I'm ready for the remake. And it's... not looking
gosh.
good, but
he's a funny guy.
He's a really funny guy. But I wanted to go over all of the remakes that they're making, because it's just like they're just recycling content and throwing it at the consumer. So to put it in perspective,
do you want me to comment on each of these things, or do you want to just
I'm
run through the whole?
I'm going to give you all of them,
okay,
and then just your general.
Okay,
opinion.
go for it.
But we're starting with Maleficent 2, then Lady and the Tramp, Mulan, Cruella. The Sword and the Stone, it's another King Arthur.
This is really hard not to comment.
I know.
I'm gritting my teeth.
The Little Mermaid, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Lilo and Stitch, Jungle Book 2,
Lilo and Stitch,
Pinocchio, Rose Red, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
What is Rose Red?
No idea what that is. But the rest are all stuff that we've heard of.
And these are all with real actors, live action?
Yes, they all will be.
This
They're
is
all
so
planned.
stupid.
Quite a few of them, like after Cruella, we don't have release dates, but that's up to 2020 is Cruella.
Is that Cruella from the 101 Dalmatians live action universe?
What? There's a live action universe? Oh!
I mean, like those 2 movies or whatever.
You're right.
Or like their own thing.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It doesn't make... I have no idea. That's a good question.
Maleficent is obviously going to be the sequel to the first one, right?
Yes.
With Angelina Jolie.
They got the trailers. Already.
You know what's funny? I get that one most. Yeah. I don't want to watch it, but at least that existed as a live action thing on its own a long time ago.
Yeah, for sure.
I at least get that. But again, Maleficent never needed to be a thing.
No, it didn't. No. But Angelina Jolie, I heard the first one was good. So, I mean, do your thing. Whatever, you know.
Sure.
But
I'm not interested in it, but go ahead and do your thing.
But, like, what do you think about, like, a new Mulan, a new Lady and the Tramp, a new Pinocchio, a new... I mean, just there's a ton of them.
Mulan is an interesting movie because people would now call Mulan SJW, I think, and I wouldn't. Mulan's able to get across a message of, like... I hate talking about this stuff because it sounds, like, so preachy. But Mulan is kind of about, like, empowerment. But it's about a girl as the main character, but it doesn't feel like it's in your face about female empowerment. It just feels like it's about empowerment of the individual. However, it's also able to spin that in a way where, like, she was a role model to a lot of little girls. She's really strong and, like, competent and smart, and is able to outsmart a lot of men in that movie. But, like, none of it felt like, oh, this is just our preachy SJW cuck movie. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Well, I mean, that's how these things are perceived, and, like, honestly, we perceive them a lot of the times that way too, of like, just stop. You know, like, it just gets to be a bit much. But it didn't feel that way. So I don't know how you're going to modernize that without it feeling that way. Like, it's just very politically charged. And maybe it will be and they don't care.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
Because that has been, like, the new direction is to, like, just be like, well, whatever, just go all in on the politics of our movie, and if people don't like it, they won't see it. Oh, but wait, we're Disney or we're whoever. They're going to pay to see it.
We're unstoppable.
Yeah, I guess I feel like with that one, at least it's not as repulsive as The Lion King to me, where it just looks like a travesty.
Yeah, it was... I went and saw it in, like... I don't know, man. Like, for me, the original was way better. I'm very nostalgic, and the original was my favorite film as a kid, so that was... It didn't work as well for me. You know, there were some funny parts, but that's just the story.
Do they still talk in that movie? Can you tell me that? The animals.
Yes, I do. Yeah,
okay,
for sure. Yeah,
because like in Dumbo, there's no animal talking.
See, that's weird. Yeah.
But I don't remember if there was any in the original Dumbo or not.
They just like Dumbo, like they've even done stuff before the ones that I just mentioned, obviously, and like there's
Cinderella.
Yes,
they did Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Dumbo, Maleficent 1, Aladdin. I'm sure there's some others that hit.
Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, those actually look good though, because those were like a dark take on Alice in Wonderland.
They're like Tim Burton. Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah.
They were supposed to be their own dark like version of Alice in Wonderland versus just a cartoon.
Exactly.
I get if you're gonna stylize it that way, but these are not stylized movies. Have you seen a single one of them that is very stylized like recently? Like
Aladdin was really not unique, like it was just like different actors.
Well, and did you know the Dumbo one was a Tim Burton movie? Because I don't think anyone knew that. It does not look like one.
Oh, really? I haven't seen it.
It did. I've only seen clips of it, and there's like nothing Tim Burton-y really, in my opinion, about that movie.
Oof.
It looks like they just took the Burton out of Tim.
Yes.
It's a Tim movie.
That's a crying shame, man.
Yeah, well, yeah,
a generic Tim movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at the Batman he was able to make. Like, this is a man who can like not be a fan of something and make it very uniquely his, but also so unique that it like Batman's like Art Deco style. Like, it's amazing.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, that kind of inspired like the soon to follow Batman animated series. So
right.
I don't know. It's just these things all feel soulless to me, I guess, is like really my only big comment. Is it feels like soulless cash grabs. I know Walt Disney said that when movies were being made that he thought that, at least I've read this, if this is true, that he thought they should be remade at some point. I don't really know if he would have meant like this. I think he would have thought that the animation should be redone, not that it should just be reshot soullessly with some people or CGI, and that's it.
I agree. Yeah, and it feels like they're doing everything and they're not creating new stuff. They're just recycling. So we're not getting like new cool stories. We're not getting like the vintage stories that.
What are they making new even? Just Disney proper. Frozen 2.
I guess, yeah, Frozen 2.
Can you think of anything else from Disney, like normal Disney?
I'm sure there is stuff.
There's Pixar stuff, but
I don't really have anything that comes to mind.
No, because this is coming to the forefront every time you look up Disney. It's just shoved down your throat.
It is.
They're marketing it way too hard.
They are, and it's just a lot of stuff that we've seen before, and like I think it's supposed to hit some nostalgia, like just. Oh, no way, they're remaking this. We have to see it because it's what we watched 4,000 times as a kid. But, like, it's not really being creative. You're not really doing cool stuff with it. It's just, here you go again. And, like, here's, like, these really beautifully done cities. Like, in Aladdin, like, the cities that they made were incredible looking. Like, it all looks great. But it's, like, I don't know. Like, it's not original.
No.
And I guess that kind of bothers me. I think it bothers a lot of people. Cause
it bothers me.
It's a free $500 million basically that they put out there, and then of course people go and see it because it's their childhood. So like, well, I have to see it.
Yeah,
so,
but I don't get why people keep giving them the money for it. I do and I don't. Like, if you don't want to see these movies being made, stop seeing them. I know other people will still see it, and I'm sure it'll still get made. But at least you can have the satisfaction that you didn't give them your money for it. I haven't given them a dime for any of these.
Which is good.
Like, I watched, like, Beauty and the Beast when it came out on Blu Ray because, like, somebody I knew had it. Oh, it was at a work party.
Oh, okay.
They screened it.
Okay.
That's it. Like, I'm just not going to give them money for this.
No.
Unless there's something that comes out and it's, like, 100% critically and fan-wise, and they're like, this reinvents the idea of this. This wasn't even that great before, and now it's insane, which I don't know what they'd be able to do that with.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll give you your money to go see that. But otherwise, I think I'm good.
Like, the original's fine, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it's good. That's why you're doing a remake, because the original was really good.
And to be fair, what does Disney even care? Because if I buy the original, I have to give them my money anyway.
That's a great point,
so, I don't know. I say just put your money into what you want to see. If you want to just see the 2D stuff, just buy that when that comes out, is re-released by them on Blu Ray or 4K, and just don't give them the money for this.
Yeah.
It's just a waste, I think. But if you enjoy it and you think these are amazing, by all means, enjoy it. I just don't.
Right. The last thing we wanted to really quickly touch on from the MCU is just that Korg we saw is supposed to have, our favorite rock friend from Ragnarok. And
first Thor Ragnarok, and then in he's not in Infinity War.
He's in Endgame.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. We see him with some pretty funny scenes there, but he is going to have a bigger role in Thor 4, which makes sense.
Supposedly, because this is not confirmed.
Okay.
I think we should mention that.
Rumored. Okay.
That it's rumored that he'll have a bigger role.
Which is great, though, because if that's the case, I think he's a really funny character. He adds more of that that fun feeling to the Thor movies that we've been getting, especially later. You know, that Thor has kind of become a bit of an outlet for comedy in these movies that fits really well, but he's also great with action. So I think Korg really complements the Thor character very well. I think that's a great idea. So
I do too. I think that his humor is really good. Like what's your favorite Korg line? Because mine's in Thor Ragnarok when Thor is telling him about the hammer, and he's telling him about it. And he's like, "Oh, you rode on the back of the hammer? Like, the hammer rode on your back." And he's like, no, the hammer would pull me off the ground. Oh my god, the hammer pulled you off. Like that. That's what made me laugh so hard. I forgot about that. Almost crying watching this with my mom, and she looked at me and she's like, "I don't get it." I was like, "It's a masturbation joke."
Oh, you explained it. Yeah,
too.
I did. Good for you.
I did. I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna tell you.
She needs to know.
That was like just, I don't want to say peak Korg, good old Korg. Like that was like the best thing from him.
Vintage Korg moment. Yeah.
Only Korg. Give him his own movie.
He's a genius.
I don't know. He's like one of those little little MCU characters that's like, he's not central, but he brings a little bit of fun and life to it without seeming Jar Jar Binksy.
Right.
Where it's like just very stupid and like
cringy,
fake and not funny. He's able to bring. Boy, there was this screen on in the background. I did not realize how bright that was.
Yeah, it was
this whole time.
absolutely blazing our corneas. Yeah,
he is able to bring that life and that joy to the movies without seeming silly or childish or like just inserted in there for no reason.
No, it's good, clever humor, and he's just a cool, fun character.
Yeah, and he's a good vehicle for like a good. What do you say, like a foil to play off of Thor?
Yes.
Like, they've done such a good job in the recent movies of having Thor be this character who's still serious, but no one around him is serious about Thor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like Thor is like, "I'm the Odin's son, forged from the heart of a dying star." And like all this stuff. Like everyone's like, "You're a clown, dude."
Yeah, dude, quit being weird.
Yeah. Like they've done a great job of doing that, and it's made Thor way more interesting.
And way more likable, I think, too. Like, and he was already likable. Like,
I liked him in the old movies.
But he's becoming people's favorites in the entire MCU.
Yeah. He's way more powerful than Captain Marvel. Let's just end that debate.
That's
right
gotta
here.
Stop. Yeah, it's not close for me either.
I'm saying we put Brie Larson and Chris Hemsworth in a boxing ring together, shut the door and give them 10 minutes. We'll see who the strongest MCU character is.
I like that. Bare knuckle.
Yeah. All I'm saying is you want equal rights, you could take equal punishment.
That's a great... Anyways. So...
I did think that whole argument between the two of them was like really funny though.
I know.
Chris Hemsworth was trying to have like a funny joke, like, "Oh yeah, right," like play off her, and like she just got mad
and serious. I know.
Like, and was just passive aggressive to
Well, that's why it was funny.
By the way, just please don't hit women. I don't want anyone to think that Degenerate is like advocating for that.
Right. No, it was funny because I was after we went and saw Captain Marvel, and my wife didn't like it at all, and we watched all of them. She likes the Marvel movies, and
you don't like it either, do you?
No, I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. And she just didn't like it because of the movie. And Brie Larson was a good part of why I didn't like it. I just like just how she was before the movie and stuff. But then I was like, oh, she's so annoying. And she's like, why? And then I looked up on YouTube, like, Brie Larson annoying. There are like 8 to 9 minute clips that people have compiled of just her being annoying. And one of them, like, luckily the clip that I clicked on was that kind of like argument or like discussion with Chris Hemsworth. And we get done, and it's, she's really annoying, Like,
that's what your wife said?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because she is, though, and like...
She's just confrontational and rude, like, in these interviews.
And maybe it's just recently that this started, but, like, that's what you see,
And if she's trying to be sarcastic, like, I would like to give you the benefit of the doubt that she is, but, like, it just doesn't seem like it.
No.
Like, she should probably get a little better at sarcasm.
Yeah, it's not good.
And she just comes across as, like, defensive and, like, rude, and, like, I don't think this needed to be an argument after Wonder Woman, did it? Like, was anyone like really against like female superheroes? I'm sure there's like some like little 1% of 1% like group that's like, well, it's stupid. Like, sure, there is for everything. But like, yeah, well, okay, like if that's the only criticism those people have, I get it. But again, like we talked about in the last podcast, there is an overwhelming amount of Captain Marvel like reasons to not like it.
Yeah.
And it's not that. It's not the female aspect of it.
Not at all.
Because it really doesn't have anything to do with it.
No, it didn't even really cross my mind at all. This just isn't working, you know?
No, that and just like the holier than thou attitude of Brie Larson and like people who wrote the movie and everything. It's just stupid.
Right. And we talked about it last podcast.
Yeah, so I don't have anything else to say about it except that I would like to see Brie Larson become likable again, because I actually think around the time that Kong released, she was.
Yeah.
That was not that long ago.
No.
What was it, like 6 years ago?
Yeah, Kong Skull Island. I don't even know if it was that long ago. So yeah, I mean...
She seemed likable around that movie.
Yeah.
But it's like she just got like... It's almost like they gave her... It's weird. It almost feels like somebody gave her Captain Marvel and she felt like they gave her Superman.
Yeah.
And like then she thought she was better than everyone else or something.
And it's weird.
Or like she was here to save the Marvel universe. Like it was failing without her. That's just the vibe she gives off. It's like, I'm here to save it. Oh, who's that cuck? Robert Downey who? Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah,
like,
there's a great vibe going here. Yeah.
And I do have one question for you before leaving this story. Do you think... And they didn't say that this was the case. Do you remember the rumors that there was a version of Endgame with more Captain Marvel in it? And that was confirmed. That she was originally in the movie more and they cut it down.
Oh.
They didn't say this, but do you think part of that reason, and I do, is because she's so unlikable?
I think so. Yeah, I think, like, it just... For a lot of people, like, especially... people that I went to the movies with, and even just friends as I talk to people about it, it's like our main concern coming up to Endgame was, dude, I hope that she's not the one that comes back and kills Thanos.
You and I talked about that,
yeah,
I remember.
100%. And I talked about it with a ton of people. It's like my only hope is that she is not the one to do it. Because we've had all these characters, I just don't want her to be involved in the movie that much. This doesn't... It's a weird thing to say, but it doesn't concern you, okay? You know, it's defensive.
Stay in your lane.
Yes,
Captain Marvel.
Exactly. You know? And I didn't want that. So I think that they may have seen and like felt and maybe read comments and stuff about Captain Marvel and stuff like that and just listened to people. And we're like, well, listen, let's give her a couple cool things, and then that's...
She does have a couple cool things.
She does, yeah.
I almost liked her more in well, no, I didn't. Yeah. I was going to say more in Endgame, but I didn't really.
No.
I thought a couple scenes with her were cool. Like, there's a scene with her during the final battle, which, you know... I mean, I know everyone's seen Endgame, I just don't really want to go into each detail of it.
Right.
But there's a scene with her in the final battle that's really neat.
Like,
involving the stones and different stuff, so... I don't know, but it's just... Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever on Captain Marvel. I'm just over it.
Exactly.
I do have one last piece of news. I think we should talk about it for a few minutes. I don't think it should become a long thing. People have beaten this to death.
Right.
The fact, I feel like I could just say the shooting and people would be like, oh, which one? The one that happened today and when they're watching it a week from now? Because shootings keep happening. But there was a few shootings, last week. A lot of people died. I believe the one shooting was like 38 people died, and then there was a ton wounded on top of that.
Yeah, I know the one in El Paso and then the one in Dayton were the two big ones that we...
Wasn't the Dayton one the bigger one?
I'm not sure which one was bigger. I know the one was in Walmart, and I don't know where the other one was. So it's obviously terrible. So.
Yeah, and I would look it up again, but I've read about it like 10 times, and I don't really want to keep reading about it.
Right.
It just sucks.
Yeah.
And our goal isn't really to talk about the shooting itself, but it's to talk about the fallout around it. And that was not meant to be a Fallout pun at all. It's just fallout.
Right.
Around this whole thing is that there's been this like really big scare about video games again. There was this big thing after Columbine. And I don't know if you've ever read about this or not. But after the Columbine shooting, they found out the one kid... And I'm not even going to name them because I do know the kid's name, but they're just pieces of shit, and I hope they're burning in hell, to be completely honest with you. The one kid was a big fan of Doom, the video game Doom. And back then, Doom was a little bit more of a niche PC thing, but you could build custom levels in Doom. And he had built custom levels, supposedly, of his school. and like gone around and like shot shit
I didn't know anything about the game. That. Wow.
And so like they had really connected like, well, Doom caused him to do whatever. You know, like they kind of pushed this narrative after it. And they also pushed the narrative that because he was a fan of Marilyn Manson and his music, that like that had caused him to be more violent.
Oh my gosh.
You can feel however you feel about Marilyn Manson. I think he's a little too edgy with his concepts, but some of his music is good, especially his covers of things like Sweet Dreams. But his career really got hurt by that because people just like tied him to it and slandered him. And really, I don't know if he did, but he really should have been able to sue the news outlets for that because that was bullshit. But they like tied everything to it other than gun violence being the cause, or like this kid being able to easily access firearms, or this kid having bad mental health. You can take whatever route you want on it, but it was not Doom that made him do it. And there's been this scare again recently too, because like different businesses have responded to this. Like Walmart was reportedly, I'm going to say reportedly because the headline said it, removing violent video game signage following the shootings.
So not the games themselves.
No, the signs.
Just
and,
like the
displays.
advertisements. Okay.
And I was reading too that they were removing like trailers that were playing that like showed violence, like for movies and stuff. That they were trying not to air that for a while. Personally, I don't think that'll last. And I don't want to step on toes here completely, like for our audience. But I do want to note that it is ironic that if they are taking such a moral stance against shootings, that they're still going to sell firearms. And I don't really, I'm just going to tell you honestly, I don't have a problem with firearms. Like, I'm not anti-gun. I'm just not. But I am anti-stupidity and anti-hypocrisy. And I think that it's hypocritical to, well, one, I think it's disrespectful to the victims and their families to push this off on like, Mario killed my kids, or Call of Duty killed my kids, or whatever, you know, like killed these kids. It's like, how far are we going to shift the blame from actually where it belongs? I just don't get it, because there's a lot of evidence too that I did want to pull up, and I'm not going to go over all of it because there's plenty of people who are dissecting this, going hardcore into it. But there's a lot of evidence that video games don't have anything to do with violence. So
a ton of evidence.
Yeah, there's multiple studies that say that it has nothing to do with it. Patrick Markey, so this is the director of interpersonal research, the Interpersonal Research Laboratory, so he works with psychology. He's a professor of psychology at Villanova University. He said it's a red herring. He had said, by the way, the shooting massacres last weekend had killed 31 people. I just saw this at the beginning of the article, so I thought it was worth correcting.
Yeah.
It's sad that it's gotten to a point where it's like it's just hard to remember because it just happens too often.
Yeah.
But he had said that the research is not there to suggest that there is a link between violent video games and these horrific acts of violence. And he said that when we look at people who play video games, we actually see a dip in violent crimes. We don't see an uptick later on. So like it's not like that it goes down and then all of a sudden they're super violent. It's just like it just goes down. A lot of times people vent their frustrations in games. In the past, like, this is, I guess you could say speculation, but like overall, like violent crime is actually down in the world, like as technology's gotten better. Because one side effect of what you and I have talked about, like the problem with everybody wants to be fat and stay inside and not leave their house, and like myself included, I'm getting a little chunkier, and order Domino's, and in places like Colorado, maybe, you know, a little bit, you know?
A little of the devil's lettuce, as they say. Yeah.
Like people are lazy. They don't want to go out. They don't want to get in bar fights or shoot places up. They don't want to really do this stuff as much. That's not to say that violent crime isn't still a problem, but like there's a lot more outlets for people to just relax. People have more time on their hands that they can just kind of chill, put their problems in perspective. There's more access to like mental health stuff, like counseling in schools that you have pretty easy access to at a younger age. That it's just hard to blame this as the source, you know? And there was this graph I saw too, and I don't want to say there was this graph I saw so it proves it.
Right.
But there was a lot of dissecting of this too and the information around it. And I will see if I can find it to show it in the podcast, because hopefully I can. But it was showing like where people play video games the most in the world, and the first was Japan, and it has like one of the lowest crime rates with guns in the world. And then like South Korea, it's super low. Then America's the third highest, and it's the biggest in the world. And it's like, not to take a big political stance on it, I don't think it should be a political issue, but like there is relative easy access to firearms here compared to every other country, and with that comes prices, socially and, you know, in this way.
Right.
And then there's the fact that we have the highest depression and suicide rates, or one of the highest in the world among teenagers, and just depression rates in general. People in this country overall, there's a big group of people that just aren't happy. And a lot of times those people are the people with the least to lose. And the least people with the least to lose, it's easiest for them to do something like this. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to, is like, there's a ton of different avenues you can attack this issue from. You can attack it from mental health. You can attack it from gun laws, or like, at the very least, like talking about gun laws and saying like, hey, what do you want to do about this? Instead of shutting that down before it happens. But to just scapegoat something so silly, I don't know. Are we going to go back to like the rock and roll scare? You know, where it's like everybody's a Satanist because they listen to AC/DC? Are we going back to that? It's just silly and disrespectful, and it kind of makes me sick, I guess. That's all I have to say about it. It's gross to me. It's just gross.
I totally agree. I don't really have anything to add to what you said. Actually, I think you said it really well, because it's putting, I guess, a face to something that it doesn't even fit at all. You know, like it's slapping video games on a tragedy, and then just like, oh, here's what we need to blame. Here's a quick Band-Aid. When really, there's obviously a lot of deeper stuff that needs to be looked at, and it's just kind of lazy, to be honest. And so, like you said, there's a ton of people that are dissecting this and picking this apart, and I see memes. Literally all of the memes on Reddit are about how video games are causing all these
I saw
violence,
one.
You know?
I saw one that's like how the media sees my grandma, and it was just like an old woman. How the media sees my grandma after she plays like Rocket League, and it was like an old woman with like an AR-15, like storming like a building. Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of jokes about it. It just makes me mad, I guess, because like I feel for the people who died, I guess.
Right.
And like their families more of all, because like for me especially, like. It's death in a different way, but like my dad died of cancer recently, and I've talked about it a few times on the channel, and I try not to bring it up very much because one, it's a buzzkill, and two, it's not something I like talking about. But like that's something I don't actually feel like I'll ever get over. Like I've been thinking about it recently, and like I think in some ways like I will, but in others it's like you just don't get over people dying, whether it's violent or not. And that's something that's like just not really preventable, really, you know, like cancer or like some health thing. So to know that a family member of yours died in a way that, if this country took it more seriously, would be more preventable, and you can't say it's not, because the fact that it doesn't happen in other countries nearly as much means it is. We should look a little bit at what they're doing, because why is it only here? I guess that would just be my question.
Yeah.
That's all I have to end it off at, is that these deaths affect everybody, and I think it's really pathetic that we've gotten to a point as a society where we just don't care anymore. And I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
You know what? When the counter first hit, because I had remembered it was over 30, I was like, oh, that was it. Honestly. And like, you can say like, wow, you're a terrible person for not being like super concerned and upset about that. But I hear about it every day, man. Like someone walked into wherever and killed somebody, or killed multiple people, or killed 5 people, or whatever. It's like, it's too much. Like we just hear about it so much. It's like being on a battlefield. You know, like guys that go to war, like yes, you care that somebody died, but like you expect it. We're hitting the point where we as a society expect people to die.
Numb to it.
Yeah, we expect it to happen.
Bad.
And because of that, it's like, oh.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to make sure this stays in the podcast. Not that I'll never talk about something like this on its own in the future, but like I just think it's been talked about, and even though we're not monetized, I don't want it to seem like we're drawing traffic from the tragedy. So I don't even want to mention this in the title.
No. Yeah.
But I don't know, it just makes me sad.
Right.
I guess that's really, I feel like that's a good note to end on because, like, I know it's a sad note, but I don't really want to go into recapping our weeks after talking about that because it feels like bouncing back from something sad.
Yeah, no, it's a good place to wrap up, I think.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess, I mean, this is something Philip DeFranco always says, but, you know, the idea of, like, love the people in your life while you have them because you don't know what's going to happen. And on top of that, I guess one thing, too, that I think is important is you should go out and try to be the change you want to see in the world. I mean, it's cliche to say, but, like, these things are not going to change if people in our generation don't change them. And it's very easy for old people to just slap the blame on something not connected that they don't give a shit about, you know? So do something about it and treat people with kindness. Like, you don't know what people are going through, and not that it's ever an excuse for them to, but there are people that are looking for an excuse to lash out. Don't give them one, you know? Just be the change you want to see. That's all I got.
For sure, man. Totally agree.
Anyway, we hope that you all have a good rest of the week. We hope that the first 2/3 of the podcast was at least fun, and the last part, if you stuck around, was something to think about. And barring anything bad, hopefully, we'll be back to normal next week. So we'll see you around. Have a good one.